Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Adventures in Asheville show, featuring Steve and Karen Wilson, owners and innkeepers of the Lion and the Rose Bed and Breakfast. Welcome, everyone. We are back here with our Adventures in Asheville show, and we're doing this every week now as part of our Healing After Hurricane Helene recovery series. So every week we're here every Tuesday. And of course, we co-host this show with Steve and Karen Wilson. We call them Mr. and Mrs. Wild of Asheville. They own and operate the Lion and the Rose. It's a historic bed and breakfast right in the heart of the Montford Historic District in Asheville. And they're going through, we've been talking to them literally the day of the hurricane landing to today of what has happened. As soon as the hurricane hit, Karen and I said, well, let's party. Let's get people on, not have a party about it, but let's have an event to spread some positive messages, and music heals, the arts heal. That's part of the Mr. and Mrs. Wild, right? They love music and nature.
Yep.
And so we did an online event with, messages from musicians and therapists and authors and writers and poets all around the country and around the world, actually, from France to England, Australia, across the country. And so that is up on our site, blendradioandtv.com. Right on the homepage, you'll see Healing After Helene. And it's linked in the episode notes, and we keep every latest podcast is there, as well as a link to all the podcasts we do on Adventures in Asheville. So check that out. We did that event, and at the end of today's episode, I've got some of those messages and music as well. And we have a music playlist so you can hear the entire song versus what we can do on a podcast. But it's been quite a journey, Karen. You guys thought, you had some damage, and you did, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, this is for real, right? On top of not having electricity at one point, no signal, and so you have electricity now, right? So that's
we've had that for a while. Yeah, we have Wi-Fi now. We're just waiting on potable water. So one step at a time.
And then, Steve, the actual damage, and everyone, Steve and Karen, ended up at this point of having to do a GoFundMe fundraiser, because as a small business, it just is so necessary. And like I said, their inn is from the 1800s. I mean, this is such a historic inn. It's the very first bed and breakfast in the Montford Historic District. And so when this kind of building, this beautiful Victorian, gets hit with trees, and you had some damage. What is the word, Steve? What's the water matriculation, and then something else, like you got turbocharged or something? What's the word of what happened? Yeah.
Well, basically, we got a good amount of water in the basement, and we have to get some guys that do a renovation to tear out the drywall that was affected, because the water will absorbs into the drywall, and then you start getting more mold, and then we're getting the mold remediated out of there. So that's just about done. I just talked to the guy this morning. He's just finishing up cleaning up on that part, and then we can get to work. We'll get somebody else out here to do the drywall for us, and Karen and I are going to do some of the other stuff, and maybe get Jay come over with his wife Christy and have a paint party.
Cool. And then you also have the parlor, right? One of the rooms in the parlor also received some damage.
Yeah, a little crack in the parlor ceiling that needs to be patched up, and then the one room got some where the ceiling came down mostly from the balcony above. Water really got above the gutters, and then got underneath the waterproofing, and then made a big old mess. So that's got to be checked out too, because there's a little mold in there as well.
Yeah, that'll be in the next week or so that they'll take care of that.
Yep.
And then at the same time dealing with the FEMA and the insurance stuff, that all takes 10 years, right? So
yeah.
So the hurricane is rough, man. It's like rough. It's like I mean, you're in a month and a half of this already, right? Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I guess so.
I know. Groundhog Day.
Well, I know, right? And I'm just going in, and Steve normally makes his Dirty Godiva beer. It's a chocolate stout, I should say, at this point, and and where I think what's really hard about this for everyone in the tourism industry, number one, lives were lost, throughout the 6 states that were affected. That's the most important. People really did lose homes. Steve and Karen, I mean, where they're talking about the basement was the innkeepers. That's their home as well. And you've got to think an inn is someone's home. And, then there's just, the tourism industry. Asheville's biggest season is the fall because of the fall colors. Yeah. And as you see in the podcast art, the fall colors are just gorgeous there. And the photos are from Jay. Jay Schultz is back on the show. He owns Spartan Photography. You can go to his website, spartanphotography.zenfolio.com. And, you see this destruction with some recovery happening, but then also these gorgeous fall colors and the beautiful natural area of what is Asheville in Western North Carolina. So welcome back, Jay. How are you?
I'm good. So good to be back.
Those photos, I mean, what you just sent me over, I'm just like, wow, it's so beautiful. And at the same time, it's a weird feeling, isn't it? Like you've got beauty and then the destruction at the same time and recovery, like in the middle of it all.
Yeah, I think I'm taking a little bit different approach on trying to share our story here in Western North Carolina. It's a lot of people are showing the scope of the flooding in that the water lines on a micro level, showing the details of the things that were damaged and destroyed. And I flying a drone, I have a different perspective on Western North Carolina. And I get to see the topography and the colors and how everything kind of fits together. And when you see this beautiful landscape and this brown swath going through it, it kind of puts things in perspective. I'm not from Western North Carolina, but I moved here as quickly as I could to become a Western North Carolinian, and I love
Carolinian.
I love this place more than the area I grew up in, and it's just hard for me to see how devastating the landscape has become something completely different here. It's still absolutely gorgeous, but we have a long ways to go to let the earth kind of heal itself.
It's important on that, and for people to see that recovery is coming. It's a journey. It's not an overnight thing. But again, as we talked about last week, I should say, for us visiting, it's also for us to have a light footstep and understand and have some understanding and be open with our bank accounts and wallets to help the small businesses, because the small businesses and the tourism and the arts and everything, which we're going to keep talking about, that funds a community. It helps put clothes on children's backs and food on the table for families. The tourism industry is crucial. It's crucial not just to Asheville and Western North Carolina, but to this country. And it is something that is resilient, and it's something that you can keep going back on. If you took tourism out of this country, we'd be in trouble. And the one thing about the tourism industry, too, is it promotes quality of life for the community. Whatever you want your visitors to have, you want them to have an amazing experience. Well, then you want parks, and you want benches in the parks and trash cans in the parks. You want art. You want all of these amazing things. Well, that means the community needs to be able to have that too. And that's that beautiful balance of the voice between the community and the small businesses getting together. So whatever is good for the community is good for the visitor. And the visitor helps us. What we do is we help fund that, because we're also temporary communities. And then sometimes people move after visiting, like Jay, right? So the tourism industry, as visitors, we are part of that community. Don't think we're not. We are part of that community. And so the patients, supporting where you can, and maybe if you're visiting, get involved in some volunteering somewhere. There's so many projects going on that you can help in, and it just feels good. Giving feels good. It really does. So 'tis the season. I'm just saying, we've got all the excuses and reasons to do it. So without that, I want to go to, I want to go to Krista Stearns. Krista, owns Mountain Mural Tours, and she was on the show earlier this year talking about her unique and amazing tours where she takes people around and shows them murals of Asheville. As you know, it's an art community. We talk about the River Arts District, which was really affected in the hurricane. She calls it RAD. A lot of people call it RAD, so just so you know on that. And it's changing. And one thing artists know how to do is understand destruction means creation, right? They understand that balance. I do a lot of interviews with artists who go to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park as an artist in residence through the National Parks Arts Foundation. And what attracts them is the constant creation and destruction. That is the web of life there. And so, as an artist, when you create something, you give it away, whether it's a song, whether it's a piece of writing, whether it's a painting or a mural. So I think what Krista's doing is very cool. She's also very involved in the restaurants of Asheville and small businesses and supporting them. And I'll get off of my soapbox and let her have a soapbox because I think she's got one. Go to mountainmuraltours.com. She'll be back in March with her tours, but welcome back. Krista, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, we're all trying to do our best by our community.
Good. Yeah, I know. And for you, this had to, we were thinking about that too. It's like, when we were seeing what was happening with the River Arts District, and I was like, oh no, not the murals, because I think so many of us, they really brightened up the area, and I know a lot of visitors want to take selfies next to them and things like that. So, and then for the artists, they're, it's like, oh, there went my art, so, but then I know a lot of artists are like, well, that means I need to do another painting, right?
Right. Yeah. I definitely think a lot of the street art will come back to the River Arts, even if the businesses don't. So I kind of see that happening, but fortunately we have so much great art in the rest of Asheville. We have great art downtown. We have great murals in West Asheville. So there's lots of other opportunities to appreciate street art in Asheville.
So for you, are things changing up in regards to, your tours? Are you doing any different things for people? Because, like I know you've kind of said, okay, let things do some changeovers, and then you get to resume in March, but people can actually book their tour now, right?
Right. Yeah, they sure can. And I'll get to do kind of reimagine my tour, and it's been really exciting. I'm getting out to meet some of the artists whose art I had not had included on my prior tour. So I'm really excited about that. Like Joseph Pearson, he's an awesome artist, mural artist, painter, and he has these great panels on the Cox parking garage on Cox Avenue. And I didn't really know much about them before, so I didn't really talk about them on my tour, but I got to meet with him and learn about the story behind his work, which is a really fascinating kind of story of community and humanity in Asheville, and a lot of Black history in Asheville as well. So yeah, I think they're cool. I'm having a really good time getting to know new pieces of art and the stories behind them. Yeah.
And that gives people a reason to return to your tours too. Is to
right,
like, hey,
I know,
this is going to be new.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be new and different. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. That's super cool. So, on average, how many murals do you show people when you go on a tour? Like, and I know it's changing up, so it may change, but just to give people an idea of how long a tour is and what to expect.
Well, it's been an hour and a half tour, and we probably do almost 50 pieces of art. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But now that will change because the river art, it was a little denser than downtown. Yeah. I guess the number of murals will change because of that. Yeah.
Okay. So Krista, I know that you're involved with a lot of the independent restaurants in Asheville. How are they doing?
Well, some of them are spending $800 a day for water.
What?
Insane.
Yep.
Okay, so people...
And they've lost tourists, so their business is significantly decreased. And a lot of them have lost employees because a lot of people have left town. So So yeah, they have a hard road ahead of them, and I'm not honestly sure how many of them will survive it when it's all said and done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
This is worse. Right now across the country, we're seeing the second wave of restaurant closures from COVID, and you've got to think that sounds crazy, but they went through a lot, and then now, like I know even just up the road in Durham, in 1 week, 4 restaurants closed. And it's
Wow.
Yeah, we had already lost a few this year before the hurricane too. So
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, get out of COVID and everyone's still regrouping and then this hits. So that's why I talk about people being patient and understanding of change. And then so restaurants going through a hard time, but try and support them as you can.
Right.
Then,
please go out to eat. That's what I just tell everybody. Please go out to eat.
Now, do you have a website for the restaurants that people can go to? That's a good way to find out who's open.
Asheville Independent Restaurants. It's the business group that works with the independent restaurants in Asheville. That's the group that I work for.
Okay,
and they have a website, and it has a list of all. I actually work to recreate the list daily of restaurants and their operating hours, because a lot of restaurants have reduced the amount of days they're open and the hours they're open to try to cover their costs better. Yeah.
Sure. Now, what about small businesses? Because I know you work in.
So I work for
Krista basically runs Asheville.
I'm very I'm on the down low for sure, but I'm so I also work for Mountain BizWorks, and that is a great local business organization that supports small businesses in Asheville for over 20 years, and they are right now, of course, working on a lot of disaster relief, and they developed a bridge loan for people that need money before they can get an SBA loan. And they're also working to help facilitate a lot of the new grants that are coming through different organizations.
That's important. Yeah. I mean, it's so hard because the insurance takes 10 years and FEMA can take 10 years and grants also can take 10 years,
I don't know. I feel like most of these, the turnaround will be fast.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Because I know Steve and Karen, they're feeling it, just trying to even still get water and,
Right. Did you guys apply for the Explore Asheville grant? That one was more oriented towards tourism. Yes. So, yeah. Good.
We did. We did.
Good. Yeah. I think that's, Yeah, the other one we're working with right now is the Dogwood Health Trust grant, and then the city is supposed to release a grant. They were supposed to do it Friday, but I haven't seen it yet. And then the county is going to release a grant, and then the state legislature is trying to decide how much money that they're going to designate for that too. So we have a lot of. I always recommend that people keep the Mountain BizWorks developed a website about grants and loans. It's called WNCstrongtogether.org. So I always recommend everybody check that website daily, because they will post as grants come available. So it's awesome. Great. Yeah, they've done a really good job with the website. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Krista, and everyone. Again, mountainmuraltours.com. I know that you're running around going to work as we're trying to get this together. So we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. And
you're welcome. Good luck to everyone.
Please come back and keep us posted. Thank you.
Okay. All the tour groups are getting together tonight. So I'm going to find out, Nicole. I heard you guys had interviewed her.
Yep.
Nicole and the Zoom tours. We're all getting together tonight to kind of decide, how we want to. Go as a group into the future.
Awesome. That's
awesome. Well, come back on. All of you are welcome back on the podcast so that we can keep people informed out there, especially for, people outside the area, for travelers coming in, so that they know what's going on. So appreciate your work and look forward to your spring tours.
Great. And don't forget to go out to eat.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Krista.
All right. Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Okay. So speaking of food, let's go to you, Steve and Karen and Jay. Jay, what are some recommendations of food where people can eat in Asheville from your side, Jay? Uh-oh. We lost Jay. Yeah, I don't. We lost Jay for a second, but all right, Steve and Karen,
Okay.
what about you guys?
Sorry
Oh,
about
Jay's
that.
back.
Okay.
No, most
I didn't realize I was on mute.
most everything is open now downtown.
It is? Okay. And how about 9 Mile? They're open. They're
Yes.
They've been open.
Okay,
everything pretty much is open within the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, you just got to be cognizant that you're going to be eating on paper plates.
Right, exactly. Disposables. Yeah.
If you're expecting to, eat with your eyes here in Asheville, that's not going to happen right now. And that's really the only thing that is kind of, disheartening for a lot of restaurant owners. They're whenever you go somewhere and eat, they'll always apologize that they have to serve it on paper plates, and that for a chef who plates food and takes pride in making their food not only taste delicious but look delicious, that's a tough thing for them. It's basically like working with one arm behind your back, and that's so it is tough. And then we were talking about this last night. My wife's been a server for a very long time, and I saw them bring plates out, and if you have regular plates, the service can be faster because you can put good servers can put 5-6 plates in their arms, but with these paper plates, you're only bringing maybe 2 or 3 at a time. So that slows the service down as well. So, I just tell people that when they go out to eat, focus on the fact that you're there and that you're happy that they're open and you're appreciative of what's going on, but give yourself extra time and, just be patient with everything that goes along with eating on paper plates.
Yeah, you get a soggy bottom on your plate.
Well, that's the thing is that a lot of people aren't just adjusting their hours to accommodate the servers that they have and the process of trying to prep this food in order to take care of a dinner crowd or whatever it is, but they're also working hard to try to make it a pleasurable experience for people, and that's not always what they're getting. If you're a tourist and you come to town, you're expecting one thing and you're getting another. So
$800 a day for water. Holy cow. Like that's insane.
Right.
I didn't know it was that steep. I knew it was not nice, but that's bad.
Insane.
No, that's hard. That's hard. Well, I think about the inn. It's like you can't do that when people are taking showers.
No,
it'd be a little bit more than 800, right? So it's it's
and they're not even serving. They're not even serving foods that are high in water. Like you're not going to go and get soup.
Right.
There's no soup. You can't buy soup at a restaurant here. It just takes up too much water. Those
and
types
paper
of things.
plates don't like it either. So that is a soggy bottom.
Yeah.
No, that's sad. There's certain you're limited, but the reality is, when sometimes it creates extra creativity. I look at it in always that positive form. When you're limited to someone, it forces you to be creative with what you have, and sometimes happy things come from it. If you look at our food around the world, most of regional dishes come from desperate times of not being able to have to even, have the ingredients because of a war or something like that, or poverty, right? Look at the Great Depression. And then these dishes become famous dishes years later. And so while this is going on the silver lining is maybe some new dishes will come out of this.
Beer probably wouldn't be as popular as it is without the fact that, drinking water wasn't available.
Exactly. Thank God for beer. And I mean, that's the reality. It's like, people drank wine because water was, wine, beer, all of it, So, well, that was a happy accident.
That's why they drank it.
Sure. And it felt good. Well, they're finding out that animals, hey, listen, they're finding out that fruit flies like to get drunk and drink wine.
Oh, really?
They like to do it. And apparently they drink more if they don't get to the mate of their choice. Then the males go out and drink even more. I'm serious. This is a true fact, scientific fact. Because they can get fermented stuff from fruit. That's why they're fruit flies. But animals have been consuming libations for years. I mean, that's what animals like to get drunk, So I'm
Elephants
just
do it
saying,
all the time.
elephants.
Well,
Yes,
yeah,
there
the
was
elephants.
one.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. So be careful of an elephant in your bar. It's, so, but so all I could say is when these bad things happen, something good always comes out of it. Some kind of, hey, we had this happen, so we created this. And it will end up being like a specialized item on the menu down the road. Seriously.
Yeah.
I think so, hopefully, maybe there'll
Mm-hmm.
be certain cocktails. It's like, nah, you don't need water in that. Just have this. We'll just add more vodka. It just, who cares? So there'll be different cocktails. There'll be, all of those things. I mean, look at, isn't it Pat O'Brien's in New Orleans, the hurricane glasses? And here's that, they become famous later. So things come out later. I mean, this is part of history. And I think, even doing these podcasts with you, Arl, it's like documenting history in a way of what is happening.
Right.
Jay, certainly with what you're doing, do you feel like you're capturing history through this documentation?
I absolutely do. It's going to be, it's fun. It's interesting for me right now to go back and look at what an area looked like before I photographed it, especially in areas where I've flown my drone in the past. But I'm really looking forward to the future. I can't wait to see what these areas look like in a year, because even like the River Arts District, we've talked about it here a little bit, but I'm absolutely flabbergasted at how quickly this community has come together and taken care of what they need to take care of to get things back open again. It's unfathomable to think that the wedge, which was, all the way underwater, that part of the building that they occupy was all the way underwater to the ceiling. And they opened up last week. And it is
crazy.
Amazing.
I love these stories of resiliency, right?
Yeah.
And like, in a way, like listening to Chris is saying, well, I'm going to change my tour a bit. And I found this whole other section, So it creates these other avenues and different, ways, and people will have new things to discover when they come to Asheville,
Absolutely.
But the hell that to get there is just, it's hell. I know Steve and Karen, what you're going through is just, it's slow and monotonous, like you say, Groundhog Day work.
Yeah.
And you want it to be done overnight, but you're a historic building, I know. And that makes it so extra important that it's done right, and the integrity of that building, and to preserve the history of that building, and the legacy of the people that built it and lived in it, and all of that, and also the legacy of the whole Montford Historic District. That's important, So it's a long road, and so when the silver linings come out, we need to celebrate them, but realize the silver lining came from a whole big dark cloud of hell, to get to that. So that's why I say, if the more we can support as, travelers and visitors, let's please do that. And let's also, again, have that patience and tread lightly and do what we can. We're in the season of Thanksgiving. So, also it makes us realize, be thankful for things like water that we take for granted, the electricity, a roof over our heads, so important, and family and loved ones. That's also really, really important. So many people lost lives through these storms, Milton included, that we remember that over Thanksgiving. And also look at Giving Tuesday this year and supporting those organizations and Small Business Saturdays coming up, Cyber Monday. Support those small businesses that you can, and also those nonprofits doing the good work. But thank you all for being on the podcast again this week. Everyone, you can go to blendradioandtv.com right on the homepage. It will stay there until all the silver linings become one big, I don't know, a big bank of silver. we just bring it out, man. It will be up there until we don't need to do that anymore. And, we'll have that link for Healing After Helene on there. And it has lists of nonprofits. It has lists of all the musicians, the music playlist, the GoFundMe links also for Steve and Karen, and you can keep up with them at lion-rose.com. Everything is in the episode notes as well. Thank you, Jay. Everyone, spartanphotography.zenfolio.com. Thanks for being back on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
I love it.
Thanks so much, Steve and Karen, for keep doing this too, in between all the hammers and all that stuff going on at the end. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
No problem.
Everyone, we're going to go to our programming from our Hurricane Helene, Healing After Helene event. So enjoy some messages and some readings.
Hi everyone, Johnny Schaefer here. I'm in beautiful Southern California, and the weather's really nice here right now. It's a little hot, but I know that people in other parts of the country have just been through the dark side of weather. And one thing that I love about the Big Blend community is it's a group of loving, caring, talented, creative people from all over the world who come together to share ideas and to share support for each other. And we're all connected, and through technology and through music and through art and culture, we can help each other. And I'm grateful to those in this community who have put this campaign together to bring awareness to the suffering that people are going through on the East Coast, and to hopefully get them some support. I wrote a song called Little Bits of Heaven that is about getting through the rough times in our lives by remembering the joyful times. And I offer that as a pick-me-up and as a message of support. Love to you all.
You take the little bits of heaven and you string them together into memories of things you love so well, so well. And then the little bits of heaven will hold you together as you struggle through the little bouts of hell. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah.
This is Susan Cummins Miller, Tucson mystery novelist, geologist, and poet, reaching out in the aftermath of Helene's devastation to offer words to replenish your spirit in those rare moments of rest as you begin to rebuild your lives. This poem is from my book, Making Silent Stones Sing. The way that lies between. Take time to lie fallow. Withdraw into landscape and symbol. Walk the hills, quiet your mind. Absorb the contours of the earth, the meter in your steps. Hear the crunch of rock and gravel, the whisper of sand. Hear your spirit chant silently, fervently. Listen to the cactus wren, to mourning doves and curve-billed thrashers singing up the sun. Listen to horned owls call and the squeaks of pipistrelles winging in the moonlight. Listen, walk, until breath and step rhyme, until mind and heartbeat merge, until even that subtle music fades away, and all that remains is the way that lies between inhale and exhale.
Hi, this is James Byfield, also known as Blind Lemon Pledge. I'm speaking to you, my dear brother and sister Americans, who have been recently beset by the ravages of Helene. I can only imagine the tribulations and heartbreak you've experienced dealing with this catastrophic event. As a musician steeped in the blues, country, and Americana traditions, your area of the country has always held a special place in my heart, and it's reflected in my work. I'm dedicating my song Polly Come Out to you, hoping you can find some joy in the song and that you'll come out on the other side of this event. All of America is with me in sending you our love and prayers. Take care and God bless.
Polly, come out tonight and dance in the summer moon. Polly, come out tonight and dance in the summer moon. You're my calico gal, I'm your dungaree guy. You know we're gonna dish and spoon. Polly, come out tonight. You know that you wanna do. I said, Polly, come out.
Hello, I'm author Kathleen Walls, and I'm going to read you a bit from my book, American Music Born in the USA. The book covers the whole history of our music, but today I'm focusing on one musician who suffered terrible adversity and eventually died of tuberculosis. While he lived, he did not let adversity keep him down. Jimmie Rodgers is known as the father of country music. His music resembles the blues, and there's some crossover with jazz. Like his music, his life is a mix of triumph and tragedy. His mother died when he was 6. By 13, he organized singing groups and ran away. His father brought him back, and he eventually went to work for the railroad, where he heard the songs of the Gandy dancers, African-American railroad workers who installed the rails. That became part of his music. In April 27, he performed for the first time on Asheville's first radio station, WWNC, and made more music history when he recorded for Ralph Peer's Bristol Sessions. He built his reputation further when he did a movie short, The Singing Brakeman, and he recorded Blue Yodel No. 9 with Louis Armstrong on trumpet. His health was declining as his fame was rising. His last recordings were made in May 1933. He died there in New York City. His music and his memory lives on, and his songs have been recorded by many singers. He dealt with adversity, as so many of you are doing now. And I'll leave you with another classic country song I hope reminds you that life is a circle and adversity will pass.
Go be unbroken by and by. Isn't there on the way in the sky, oh, in the sky.
Thank you for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Adventures in Asheville show. Learn more about the Lion and the Rose Bed and Breakfast, which is located in the historic Montford district of Asheville, North Carolina. Go to lion-rose.com. You can keep up with our Big Blend Radio shows at bigblendradio.com.